Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Emma Francesco and here we are for the very first round in Phillip Island for the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship supported by Motul Pirelli. And I tell you what, Steve Martin, it is set to be a huge 2017.
It absolutely is, Emma. We've got bumper grids, the biggest grids we've ever had at Australian Superbike level. We've got 8 manufacturers, which is the most manufacturers that we've ever had at this level. And on top of that, we are here at Phillip Island with the World Superbike guys, so the eyes of the international press are also on this meeting.
How great to be in part of it. The 7-round championships 2017 kicking off right here in Phillip Island. And as Steve said, 8 manufacturers returning to the grid. Let's take a look.
What a bumper year of Superbike action we had last year. 2016 turned out to be a stellar year, especially for Troy Herfoss, our champion-elect. He won on the old CBR 1000, which sees the start of the season again for 2017. Although the CBR 1000 is old, it's in fact based on the 2008 model, that doesn't mean it's slow. Honda are waiting for a new bike to come for 2017. Meanwhile, over at Yamaha, last year's new machine, the R1, is back. It's new, it's slimmer, like it was in 2015, but still, it hasn't won the championship yet. The MotoGP-inspired R1 will hit the track again in the hands of Glenn Allerton and Wayne Maxwell. Boy, they didn't win last year, but they certainly came close. Suzuki are back in the series too, not with the old GSX-R, but with this much new improved GSX-R 1000s. Josh Waters and the team are going to have a big task because this is one of the biggest fields that we've had in the ASBK series. Kawasaki also in this year. They've won a couple of World Superbike Championships in the hands of Jonathan Ray recently. And you know what? They're certainly coming into the ASBK in a big way with their inline form. Ducati have got an all-new colour scheme this year for the 1199 V-Twin. This bike was fast and won races last year. Big news though, we've sent young Mike Jones overseas and Callum Spriggs takes the seat for 2017. BMW are also here with their S1000R. Now they've won the championship in the past, but back with Wayne Hepburn and the Saint HP BMW S1000R, we expect big things from the young Troy Gunther as he learns this new bike. If it's flair you're after, you can't go past this Italian stallion. The MV1000, it certainly looks fast, even when it's standing still. And last but not least, a bike that's won a lot of world championships in the World Superbike Championship, the Aprilia RSV4. And with Alex Phillips on board this RSV4, he's getting faster and faster every lap. In all my time of racing, which spans over 30 years, I cannot remember seeing 8 manufacturers on the grid for the first race of the year. That is going to make 2017 one of the most special years we've ever had.
Well, no better scene in motorcycling than what we're looking at now. The Phillip Island circuit bathed in glorious sunshine. And I'm sure that the 2017 YMF Australian Superbike Championship presented by Motul and Pirelli is going to be just as good as this circuit this weekend. My name's Phil Harlem. I'll be joined by Steve Martin, former Australian champion, former World Endurance champion, in commentary for what is sure to be a fantastic season. This weekend, everyone has been chasing Daniel Fowles and he sits on pole position. Let's find out about the Phillip Island circuit with our pole sitter.
My name's Daniel Fowles and I'm going to explain to you a few of my favourite corners at Phillip Island Racetrack. So we head down the straight here at 300 kilometres per hour, looking straight to the blue ocean. We're going to brake for turn 1. It's a very ballsy corner. You've got to go back a couple of gears and straight back on the power. Head down towards turn 3, slowing a corner. This is a corner that is very scary. You never get used to it. We're at 220 kilometres now and the rear wheel's spinning through that corner. It really is heart and mouth stuff. To turn 4, this is a crash corner on lap 1. All riders bellowing into this corner. It's a real adrenaline rush. I love this turn. So we come out of Siberia corner, flat out, throttle right to the stop. The rear wheel's spinning. I can feel the bike sliding the whole way through turn 7. It's an amazing feeling. We head into Hayshed corner. This is a corner you do not want to crash on. I've personally come off here and it does hurt. We head up Lukey Heights. It's the corner that is completely blind and it's off camber, so you really got to make sure you're on your line, otherwise you're going to end up in the grass. Head into the last sector of the track, and this is where all the time is made. Through turn 12, you've really got to be on line and make sure you get the throttle on early to head down the fast chute. There's a lot of G-forces, but it's a great adrenaline rush. Can't wait to live in it today.
Well, the riders are making their way around the glorious Phillip Island circuit now, and they'll be pulling up on the grid in a moment. Did a quick calculation as we head into this race. Near 20 Australian championships are out there on the grid in Superbike, Supersport. It certainly is going to be a fantastic season. Before we get underway, let's head down to the pits with Emma Notafrancesco and some late mail.
Just before we get into race one here at Phillip Island, a very sunny start this morning. Cool conditions which should make for good grip on the track, but certainly a bit of a headwind to consider. I just caught up with Daniel Falzon and he was looking pretty cool, calm and collected, of course, starting from pole. Said it's going to be very difficult to break away from that pack. Also, Brian Starring caught up with him a little bit earlier too. Hasn't had much luck on the bike as yet this weekend, so certainly feeling a little bit nervous. All in all, though, it is going to be an absolute nail-biter as we get into race one here at Phillip Island.
Thanks, Emma. Great to hear from you down there in the pits as the riders pull into their pits. Steve Martin, what a fantastic sight it is. Look at this grid. Look how many Australian champions there are out there. Of course, Daniel Falzon, fellow South Australian, on pole position.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good to see Phil. He's worked hard. He's come up through the ranks. This is his third year in this class now. Remember, he's a previous Supersport Championship winner, so he's got it all to play for.
Certainly is. And also a lot of riders coming back from overseas. Brian Starring from MotoGP and World Superbike, and also Josh Waters from the British Superbike Championship. But at the moment, they're all looking at the back of this man. Geez, wouldn't you hate to be back there, Steve? So many bikes on the grid. 39 starters as the lights come on. We're away for 2017. Daniel Falzon gets an absolute cracking start from pole position. Brian Starring looks like he got the Crank Protein Honda off the line pretty well. And Robbie Bugden also well placed on board the BC Performance Kawasaki.
Look at Herfoss too. He got a cracker of a start, exactly where he needs to be, right up the front. We saw how confident he was last year. He really did have that number one Honda in complete control throughout most of the year, Phil, and he's right at the front already, showing that confidence again.
Well, the good news is, Steve, this massive field has all got through turn 1 and turn 2 safely, and Falzon leads Herfoss and Brian Starring now down through turn 3. You heard from Daniel Falzon, a scary corner, you never get used to it, and on the brakes into turn 1, Falzon sideways, Herfoss up the inside. Oh, we've got someone down on the inside there. I didn't pick up who that was.
No, I didn't see either. Kawasaki runs wide as well, but have a look up the front. We've got Josh Waters on the Suzuki making its worldwide debut. That's Maxwell.
Oh no, one of the championship contenders, Wayne Maxwell, on board the factory Yamaha down at turn 4. It also looked like Bo Beaton on board that Racerjet Performance Ducati was off the circuit, and pretty much the whole field had streamed its way past.
You know what, last year Maxwell had his problems as well. The problems were that he fell off too much, and that is not the way he wanted to start 2017. Allerton up the inside, what a move.
Yeah, Glenn Allison, he's never going to die wondering on the brakes. He's always very deep and late and gets up the inside of Josh Waters on that brand new Suzuki. Great to see Josh Waters back. Great to see Suzuki back as well. And as they stream their way round through turn 12 and out onto the Garden Straight for the first time, Falzon having to play second fiddle to Troy Herfoss at the moment. We'll see the power difference between the old CBR and Daniel Falzon's privateer Yamaha R1.
Look at that up the inside. Herfoss is having nothing. He's up there again, got the inside line and gets straight back past Falzon.
What that looked to me, Steve, was a man that is extremely confident, not only in his own ability, but also the equipment. He has got the advantage of spending a few years on that motorcycle and pretty much knows it back to front, inside out, as we see a replay of the start from Wayne Maxwell.
Look at Falzon. He's always got good starts and he makes the hay shine off the start line. He always leads 90% of the time in the turn 1. Herfoss, great start on the Honda, but look at Starring. That's his first start in a long time on a Honda Superbike. Great result from him too, up there in third.
Well, and there was Wayne Maxwell. That was up the inside. Looked like he came into contact with Robbie Bugden, who was lightning off the start on board the BC Performance Kawasaki. And you can see there on the outside, Bo Beaton getting shoveled off the track. Yep. Well, I don't think that was anyone's fault other than Wayne Maxwell's.
Well, I think that was just the first lap racing incident, wasn't it?
So, back to a replay now of the incident where Troy Herfoss had to play second fiddle for only seconds to Daniel Falzon. Herfoss, great position on the track and great confidence in his equipment, straight down the inside to regain the lead. Back to live action, and it is still the two Hondas out front, with now Herfoss leading his teammate, Brian Starring. Crank Protein Honda, 1-2.
You know what, talking about Brian Starring, he hasn't really done too much throughout practice, but he's up there now, isn't he? He's really started to put that race face on now that he's starting his first race in a long time in the Australian Superbike Championship. Remember, he's one of our previous champions.
That's it, he's won championships in all three classes, lower classes as well as Supersport. Starring off the circuit there, did not back off the throttle one iota, but he's lost a fair bit of drive as they head down towards turn one.
Yeah, and once again, the number 25, Daniel Falzon, is battling for the front up there, and it looks like he's gone up the inside of Allerton. That is not easy to do.
Glenn Allerton got great drive, and we saw Herfoss and Starring run a fraction wide. They lost a little bit of drive. Well, Glenn Allerton was in the perfect position to drive up the inside. We now see Privateer Yamaha R1 versus Glenn Allerton's factory version, the bike prepared by Kev Marshall and the Yamaha racing team out of Queensland.
The other battle we've got, of course, is in the tyre manufacturers. We've got Dunlop versus Pirelli out there at the moment. There's also Bridgestone out there this year too, so it's good to see all of the major manufacturers out on track battling it out.
I'm glad you actually mentioned Bridgestone, because we commented that when Wayne Maxwell crashed, Bo Beaton was actually off the outside of the circuit. He completed the first lap in 21st position with a lot of work to do on board that race's edge. Bridgestone shot Panigale.
Yeah, definitely. Bo Beaton is definitely one to watch out there, and I'm sure he's going to come good on that bike. First race meeting on the Bridgestones, it's going to have time to come to grips.
Well, look at this lead pack, Steve, as we see Falzon still leading, but right behind him, Glenn Allerton, then the two Crank Protein Hondas. Right behind them, Josh Waters on the brand new Suzuki. This bike last time was at Phillip Island a couple of weeks ago for the world launch. It's not even the up-spec GSX R1000, it's the base model, but Phil Tate and the team have had it for about a week and a half and done a great job. And right behind them is Matt Walters, a man with 2 Australian championships to his name in 600 Supersport and Pro Stock 1000 as well. He's off to a great start on board the Rover coaches and Repsol supported Kawasaki entry.
Up the inside goes that number 67 of Brian Starring, getting more comfortable with that machine every lap, Phil. I like the way that he rides the bike. I always have. You know, he could have gone a long way overseas, but he's come back to Australia now to sow his roots here, and he wants to win this championship, a championship that he's won in the past.
Well, he was so close to winning the European Superstock 1000 championship. That was unbelievable how he managed to keep the throttle on, and if he had got out of the throttle there, it probably would have even been more dangerous than actually keeping the throttle pinned, but that was where Allerton took the lead.
Allerton, once again, he had a triple win here last year, so it's good to see him back and commanding at the front. Definitely one to watch. Look at that. How close do you want it? Touchy.
Well, I'm glad that those bikes have both got the same colour scheme, because there would have been each other's paint all over them. Paul Free will probably only have to do a bit of cleaning up rather than trying to get paintwork off.
Yeah, it doesn't get much closer than that, does it? We saw an incident last year at that particular corner with Jamie Stauffer. Had an incident, similar circumstances, so lucky the boys got away with that one.
Did you see that last shot in the replay? The speed, the exit speed of Glenn Allerton on board the Yamaha. That's the reason why he went into the lead. But now it's Falzon that still leads, fractionally over Allerton, Starring in the slipstream. I don't think their Honda's going to have the power to pull out, especially not in turn one, where Glenn Allerton will be very deep and fast on the corner entry. Troy Herfoss just looking to have dropped off a fraction. And where's Josh Waters gone? He's dropped off incredibly. And where has Matt Walters gone? He's gone as well. They were both right up with this lead group only one lap ago. Yeah,
they were, but I think Waters has had some sort of issue, and I'm not sure what it is. Well, there he is in the background there, but he's looking over his shoulder, so we'll have to look and see, but it looks like the Suzuki is dropping off the pace for some reason. We'll have to find out after this race.
Well, just looking at the lap times, his lap time has dropped by about 3 or 4 seconds on that last lap, so I'd say there's some sort of technical issue. Probably not surprising with a brand new motorcycle, Steve, which has only been prepared in the last couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you said earlier on, Phil, that bike is this is the first time it's been on the racetrack. It's not the up-spec model, it's the standard base model, and they've just flown parts in from all over the world to get it on the track here, so just to be out there is a win.
Well, this lead group of 4 now have really got away. We were saying before about the amount of Australian championships in this field. Just in this little group here, Steve, we've got Daniel Falzon, 3 600 championships to his name. Glenn Allerton, 3 Australian Superbike championships to his name. Troy Herfoss, 2 Australian championships, and Brian Starring, 3 in 3 different categories. what a quality of field. This is only the first 4. There's many riders back in the field that have also got illustrious titles to their name, and we haven't even counted Troy Herfoss's AMA Supermoto Championship that he won back in 2007.
Yeah, I know. Look at that. You can see now that Waters is just looking up the inside there. There's the RSV4 Aprilia as well, one of the 8 manufacturers in the race here this weekend. RSV4 Aprilia out on track as well with Alex Phillips on board.
Well, as soon as you have a bike with the name Phillips on board, you know the bike's going to be swift. He started from a long way back on the grid too.
Look, see the smoke.
Yeah, Waters' bike, there is some problem with that. I'm not quite sure what that is because he still looks to be riding relatively hard, but definitely smoke coming out of the bike and the pace is slowing as well. He's waving people past. I wouldn't be surprised to see Josh Waters pull into the pits either at turn 4 on this lap or at the completion of this lap. He definitely does not want to damage that motorcycle.
No, I don't want to comment on what that issue is. I mean, it could be anything, but we'll have to wait and see. The bike's obviously still running. We'll have to get in contact with those guys after the race and find out what the issue really is with that machine.
Well, here we go down into turn 4, onboard footage. All you can see there is how much the front end of the bike dips down as they get hard on the brakes. Those Brembo calipers would have been getting a severe workout there as now they head out towards Siberia. For mine, Steve, one of the best corners on this circuit. The camber is unbelievable and the drive out of that corner is just a great feeling.
It absolutely is, Phil. But you know what? Every corner's a brilliant corner on this circuit. We heard Daniel Falzon. We asked him at the start of this race, before we went into this race, Daniel, tell us about your best corner, and he told us about the whole lap.
Well, there's 12 of them, really, isn't there? Out onto the straight now. It is still Falzon leading, doing a great job. First ever pole position at the beginning of this weekend, Steve. Is he on destiny now for his first ever race win in the Australian Superbike Championship?
Well, he's looking good at the moment, but do not count out the man in second place, Glenn Allen. He was a 3-time winner here last year. He knows his track well. He knows how to win well. He's got the might of the Yamaha factory behind him. He's looking good. He's in good position. Starring's good too. And Herfoss in the background. Don't count him out either. Still a few laps to go in this one. And one thing we do know about this Phillip Island circuit is that normally the guys hold something in reserve for those last few laps. The fireworks are going to start flying now, Phil.
And that's also too because not on a fitness level, because these guys are also supremely fit. Is it more on a tyre endurance level that the tyres can't cope with these guys riding at 110% for 11 laps?
What it is, this track is one of the most demanding on the tyres in the world. In fact, it is the most demanding track on tyres in the world as we look at a replay of heading into Honda Corner. And because of that fact, Phil, the tyres just don't cope with going at full pace for that amount of time, for the length of the race. You have to hold something back. You have to look after that tyre if you want to have any life left at the end of the race when you really need to pounce. So I'm sure a guy like Herfoss at the moment is just sitting in the background there saying, right, I'm hanging on, I'm in conservation mode.
Well, he's doing a great job of that at the moment. We're on lap 10, the penultimate lap of the first race. Let's go down to the pits with Emma, who's got some news on Josh Waters.
Yeah, just speaking to the guys down at Team Suzuki X-Star, and details sketchy at the moment, but they do believe that when one of the Honda riders went off the track, he actually flicked up a rock that went into Josh's radiator.
Yeah, well, that certainly makes sense now that you look at it, because he was able to continue for a while, and then smoke started to come out of the machine. It slowed. So, yeah, now it's explained, Phil.
Yeah, well, hopefully there's no damage done to that engine, because you can't just rock on down to your Suzuki dealer and get a brand new GSX-R 1000 engine.
Hang on, there was 20 of them here the other day.
Well, out towards Siberia now on this penultimate lap as we look back at a replay of this lead group of 4 heading out towards turn 3 now, out of Southern Loop, down the little bit of a hill. Falzon just gets a little bit of a wobble there from the front end. Other than that, Steve, the bike has looked incredibly composed for this entire race, and come to it, so has Daniel.
Yeah, I've got to say that Daniel's looking in control there. Look at that slide. He's got the thing sideways there, but it's not all out of shape. We saw earlier on, Allerton's thing was really sideways at one point, but Daniel Falzon, he's put the hammer down now. Looks like he's got this thing under control.
Well, nothing left in the bag at the end of this lap, you can be assured now, as Falzon leads them across the line. Allerton in second, Starring in third, and Troy Herfoss fourth place. He won't be happy to start off the season with fourth place. You can imagine that he's going to put on some big moves, especially as this lap unfolds.
You know what, though? One thing Herfoss did, he won that championship last year by just being there and then strike when he could win. And he knows that it's very, very important for him to just be there or thereabouts. Anything could happen. I don't know what way this is going to go. These two guys might not finish this yet.
Well, Allison had a big look up the inside, but Falzon came back. He's strong on the brakes. So is Allison. He tries to go around the outside. Actually was out a little bit wide there, and Starring tried to come up the inside. But where Daniel Falzon's bike has looked good all race is this part of the circuit, the run out of Siberia and up to the top of Lukey Heights. He's been able to pull a couple of bike lengths distances. Have the rest of them been balking, or has Daniel Falzon really got the wood on them in this area of the track?
No, he's really got it nailed through here. Look at that, almost flat out through the hay shed now. Up into Lukey, great move on the inside there, and look at the gap that he's pulled on number 14 Glenn Allerton. And Brian Starring there, looks like he's going to strike as well. He's going to look up the inside, he can't do it. Falzon, great drive through there.
Well, I think what was also important was that Falzon had enough of the lead that Allerton, despite having to try and get up the inside, also had to protect his line from Brian Starring as they come round now through turn 11, turn 12 for the final time, bit of lap traffic. Oh, Falzon's up the inside. Allerton has to go around the outside the long way. This is going to be close. Falzon down the inside. He's got a good run to the line. Look at Allerton though. He's steaming on. Falzon celebrating already at Allerton. Oh, that was so close. That is going to be down to thousandths of a second as they cross the line.
I don't know, mate. Could you pick that? Who won that one?
It looked pretty much like a dead heat to me. Here comes the rest of the field through now. Robbie Bugden getting a good finish. Crew Halliday, another strong finish from him on board that privateer Yamaha. Great way to start the season for him. And Mitch Levy, a rookie superbike rider, right behind two guys that have got years and years of experience. And first of all, our best rookie in this first race of the season. Congratulations to Mitch Levy.
Yeah, absolutely. A great ride by Mitch there. First time on that R1, moving up through the ranks. And congrats to Kawasaki and Robbie Bugden as well, coming into the series this year. A great result for him. They can be buoyed with that. They're competitive.
Well, here's a replay of the finish. You can see Falzon was celebrating early. Allerton pulled out of the slipstream, and even on the slow motion replay, I'm not prepared to pick that.
I'll tell you what, if there was one fault with that man there, perhaps he celebrated just a little bit too early.
Well, the official results are coming through now, and it's Falzon. Falzon by 0.13 of a second over Glenn Allerton, and Brian Starring 0.3 of a second behind Daniel Falzon takes third place. Troy Herfoss 0.6 of a second behind. What a result there for the top four. In fifth place was Robbie Bugden, Crew Halliday in sixth, Mitch Levy in seventh. What a race for the first of 2017.
I'm joined by the race winner of race number 1, Daniel Falzon. Congratulations. First race, first place. Good start to the weekend.
It's an absolutely perfect start to the weekend to get pole position, come with my first ever race win. It's proving to be a fairy tale weekend so far. I really want to back it up in race 2, but there's some really strong competition, as you can see by the finishing distance was only about half a bike length.
You look very cool, calm and collected when I chatted to you this morning prior to the race, and you said that one of your battles was going to be breaking away from that pack, and you seem to do it pretty well.
Yeah, that's right. At the start I really tried to get a bit of a gap, but Brian was fast and he proved that he could be right up there with my pace. Once I got ahead for about the fourth time, I managed to put my head down and get a little bit of a gap, gave me some breathing space. I was able to concentrate on myself and just putting out fast lap times.
Ben saw you shaking the head when you got off that bike. Tell us about some of the engine problems you had throughout the race.
Oh, look, it wasn't engine problems. It was just, we haven't figured it out yet. It might be in electronics or something. But, yeah, it's a great start for us in the Yamaha team. The boys work really, really hard, so I'm not going to blame anybody for that because they put in as much effort as anybody that I know. And, you know, those bikes are their babies. So, you know, it's motor racing. There's 1,000 parts inside that motorbike moving all at once. So sometimes things go wrong. But it was a great race for us, good start to the year, and I hope it was exciting for the fans, but my plan is to go one better in the next race.
Brian, I chatted to you just before the race and you were telling me you felt a little bit nervous and not overly comfortable on the bike, but it looks like your luck's turned around.
Yeah, look, that was really just with the pre-season testing, some things that didn't go our way. I'm feeling really good on the bike now, and that was kind of unfortunately the best race we could manage just then. You know, I have to be happy with the third place and some great points to open our series campaign. And yeah, big thanks to our Crank Protein Honda team for, you know, giving me the best bike that they could have given me for today. Yeah, we'll shoot for a couple better in the next race. Just yeah, need to just get a little bit closer to the other boys before we hit the brakes and give myself an opportunity on the brakes. But anyway, yeah, it's I'm happy to be back in Australia and happy to be racing here, and really happy to be with this team.
Well, if the appetiser is anything to go by, main meal and dessert will be absolutely spectacular. Join us on the other side of this break for races 2 and 3 of season 2017 in the YMF Australian Superbike Championship presented by Motul and Pirelli.
I always get a little nostalgic when I come into the Pirelli tyre service at a World Superbike meeting, because it was Pirelli that took me in 2001 over to Europe. It really means a lot to me, and I feel that I owe a lot to the company. Back in those days, we didn't have these production type slicks. We had slicks made with really expensive material. About 2002, 2003 though, they changed their way of thinking. They wanted to make tyres back then that would make their way onto the road, and with all those special materials, that couldn't be done. So from 2003 we started putting the road developed materials into the racing tyres and develop them so that we could get them onto the street. I've got Don here from Pirelli, Don Nichols. Do me a favour and tell me about how all that development that I did back in the day has ended up helping the guys that ride on the road and on the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. Look, we're really grateful for your time with the brand and as part of the family, if you like, to develop these tyres, because it set the basis, if you like, for what we now see in the World Superbike Championship. So it's very important for us. We have a philosophy: we race what we sell and we sell what we race. And it's really important to know that this product, in terms of its base technology and what we learn here, we apply to the street product. So your work in the early days with the tyres has definitely been the basis of where we go from being a control tyre now for the championship for 14 years. So a partner to the World Superbike Championship. Tyres we see here today, some of these are also available as part of our range in Australia, and that's very important in the Australian Superbike Championship as well. So yeah, we learned a lot from that time with you on the bike, and it was a small focused team, even with Giorgio and some of the other guys, to build the knowledge, and now we build on top of that from there. So a small team has expanded into a championship which has got all the major manufacturers as part of that program. And yeah, for Diablo Superbike, for the slick which you're right, you developed for us with Pirelli in those early days, we can see the fruits of it now, so it's really cool.
Thanks, Dom. It's good to know that the control tyre that started its life back in 2004 in this championship, all that development has made its way onto the road bikes that we see on the streets every day.
Well, we sell what we race what we sell. That's Pirelli's motto. And they're heading down towards pole position now with Pirelli hoops on board Daniel Falzon's Caterpillar Yamaha as he takes up pole position for the second time. First pole position this weekend, first race win already under his belt. It started off to be a great weekend for Daniel Falzon, but the big question is, can the championship challengers in the factory Yamaha and Honda guys come back, Steve, as we get ready for this race number 2?
Well, that is a big question mark. We've got the two Honda boys up there as well, of course. It looks like Waters is back on the Suzuki after that holing that radiator. But as you said, Daniel Falzon doing everybody proud. You've got to think that Glenn Allerton as well is going to be one to watch in this race.
Yeah, certainly will be. Also, Matt Walters crashed out of that first race. He also had a hole in the radiator, and water went all over his front tyre, causing him to crash at turn 4. So a couple of victims there.
Yeah, the Honda boys need to learn to stay on the track, don't they?
Well, see, Josh Waters said, this is road racing. If you want to go dirt tracking, get a dirt track bike. As we get ready now for race number 2. Will be in the starter's hands very, very shortly. You can see a quick glimpse there of Mitch Levy. There he is ahead on the right-hand side of the screen. Best rookie in race number 1. The lights are on. We're away for race number 2. Great start once again from Daniel Falzon. Looked like Wayne Maxwell got pretty well off the grid as well on board bike number 47.
Yeah, Maxwell got a lot to prove in this one. He lost a lot of points in race 1. So race 2, he needs to make amends. Oh, look at that. That's Allerton down.
Oh no, that is a massive crash on the entry to turn 1. The good news is he was on the inside of the circuit and no one else looked like they got taken out in that incident. And Glenn Allerton unfortunately ends race number 2 in the gravel trap at turn 1.
That was so lucky, but look who's in the lead. It's Falzon.
Yeah, also great start too there from Bo Beaton. He's up to 5th place on board the Racer's Edge Panigale. He was back to 29th position early on in that first race, and everyone looked like in the lead group is making it through turn 4. That's the first time that's happened on the first lap this weekend.
Yeah, you've got to think Bo Beaton is going to be feeling pretty good at the moment. He's up at the sharp end of this race and mixing it with the factory boys. There's Allerton. I don't think he's going to be taking that bike anywhere. It's over for him for this race.
Yeah, looks like a fair amount of damage there to the Kev Marshall prepared machine. As we watch the field stream up past the hay shed and up towards the top of Lukey Heights, our first 3 have got away just a fraction with Falzon leading from the 2 Team Crank Protein Honda machines. Next rider through is Bo Beaton, that leg out on board the Racer's Edge, North Coast V Twins, Panigale, the first of our Bridgestone runners this weekend. You mentioned earlier on, Steve, about a tyre war. We really have got it now with all three brands up there in that top four.
Oh, it's really, really good to see as well. You know, like other control series have just the one brand. We've got all of the brands are welcome here, and they're all available to guys that want to just get out and buy them and ride them on track days. So that's what I like about the Australian Superbike Championship.
In actual fact, we've got Pirelli's 1, 2, 3 in the hands of Daniel Falzon, and also the two Crank Protein Hondas. Then it's Bridgestone, and then the first of our Dunlop runners, Wayne Maxwell, sitting behind Bo Beaton at the moment, with Robbie Bugden on board that BC Performance. Kawasaki not too far behind. A great start too from Robbie Bugden. Great to see him back in the Australian Championship.
Yeah, I mean, Bugden has really come on strong, hasn't he? He proved himself competitive in race 1, and he's right up there in race 2. There's Matty Waters as well on the right-hand side. Kawasaki making their way into this championship and making their way in a big way. Look at that crash. He's just lost the front. Not much you can do about that. Look, he's tipped in, and the front has folded on him. Luckily for Josh Waters, he was just out of the way. Let's have another look here. Would he have been on the brakes there, Steve, or what? No, mate, he was just tipping in. Remember, the guys had just done their warm-up lap. That was the first lap. The only thing you can put that down to is perhaps a cold tyre.
Well, very strange for someone of Glenn Allison's experience to crash out early as Crew Halliday comes down the Swan Insurance entry of Matty Walters. Great to see Matt Walters back in this race. I know the team worked extremely hard in between races to get the radiator removed from the spare bike and back out onto the number 1 bike. And Matt Walters out there and looking for some revenge after having to take a back seat for the second half of race number 1, looking from it in the pits with a bike that had a badly holed radiator, causing him to crash down there at turn 4.
Well, the Suzuki's not lacking any speed, is it? Look how fast Josh Waters goes into turn 1 there. Great speed on that brand new Suzuki. That's only going to get faster as time passes by.
Well, Waters leads this little group. We've seen Allerton already crash out down in the pits. Emma, what have you got for us?
Just back in the Yamaha garage, just had a chat to Glenn. He is okay, which is great news, although extensive damage to bike number 14. He won't be taken out for the next race. He's saying he's very confused about what happened with the bike. I'm very unsure, but looking onwards and upwards for race number 3. He won't be using bike number 14 for that race. He will be on the spare bike.
Yeah, it certainly looked like there was a lot of damage done to that machine. We heard him say, Phil, that he doesn't really know what happened, and the front end just went so quickly there that I can't explain it either. It was just one of those strange ones. You know, these bikes on 2 wheels, sometimes they go down. I think that was just one of those moments.
And usually when you ask these guys, what happened in the crash, they can give you a detailed millisecond by millisecond description of exactly what happened. So for Glenn to actually say that he doesn't know is a fair example of something untoward has happened.
And that's how they get back on and go fast. If they can explain what happened, they're going to go fast again. But when they can't explain what happened, that's when things set in your head. You need to figure out what went wrong.
Well, Falzon leads once again. It's been a familiar sight this weekend. Brian Starring in second place. Troy Herfoss. Can he get that bell helmet any further underneath the paintwork on the tank of that Honda? He gets so far down behind that screen, Troy Herfoss, as he tries to get everything he can, because that is the one area of this circuit, Steve, that the Honda really does have to play second fiddle to the rest of the motorcycles out there. It just doesn't have that last probably 7-8 kilometres an hour of top speed at the back end of the straight.
Yeah, I mean, it is based off a 2008 model, that bike, but luckily for Troy and the team, the Crank Protein Honda team, a new model's coming at some point in this year. So these are the last few laps of this older model that we're going to see riding around this Phillip Island circuit. Hopefully when he comes back here next time, he'll be on the new bike.
Well, Maxwell has moved up one position now. He's past Brian Starring and past Troy Herfoss and up into third position, looking now to try and reel in Brian Starring, who's managed to get a fraction away. But there's one man we should also keep our eye on, Robbie Bugden on board bike number 24. Look at him starting to make his way forward on board the Kawasaki BC Performance ZX10.
Yeah, Robbie's doing a really, really good job. He's surprising me how he's really come to grips with this circuit. Of course, he hasn't raced at Phillip Island for a while, so to come here on that bike with no testing and claw his way towards the front, it's a great job and a great effort by him and the team.
Leading Ducati at the moment is the North Coast V Twins Races Edge Performance machine. The bike built and prepared by Craig McMartin, who, he's probably forgotten more about Ducati, so most people know. Is that Brian Starring up at, where's that? Looks like the top of the circuit, maybe turn 11. It is. It's Starring out of the race on board the Crank Protein Honda.
He didn't need that. He was sitting pretty after race 1, so to dump it there, lost points. That's what he's going to be thinking now. Look, the rear's come around. Oh, you don't know how lucky he was that he didn't high side there, Phil. Look, he's lost the rear on the full lean angle, tipping into turn 11 there on the gas, and that could have ended really nasty. He got so lucky there.
Well, Falzon still leads, but it's the Yamaha-mounted Wayne Maxwell, the man that's on a charge at the moment as they come out of turn 4 and down towards Siberia. Well, Crew Halliday left the Yamaha team at the end of last year. He's back with his crew that's taken him to multiple Australian championships, and Emma's with his crew chief, Glenn McMahon.
Well, Glenn, it's no surprise Yamahas have been looking pretty sweet this weekend. How's Halliday going out there?
Good. It's been a slow start to the weekend, but he's, as you can see, he's moving up through the grid out there, and he's putting some consistent laps down. So our aim is to get close to the top 5 finish in each race we can, and if we can do that, then we've met our goal for the weekend.
And of course, we've still got another race later on today.
Yeah, so fingers crossed we can keep moving forward. So it's looking better each time we get on the track. So crew's doing a good job. So wait to see at the end of the race, see how the tyres hang in, and go from there.
Good luck. Thanks, Glenn.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's good to see Crew Halliday back. It was looking at one point like he wouldn't be back in the championship this year, but he's got the Yamaha sponsorship behind him now. Back on the R1, a bike he knows well. He's had to pull it all together at the last moment, so good on Crew for being out there and making his way forward in the pack.
Well, Herfoss has got his hands full at the moment because he's got Robbie Bugden and Josh Waters right behind him. Of course, Robbie Bugden, 5 times New Zealand Superbike champion. Great result there for the Queenslander in many, many years of campaigning in New Zealand. But he's back here in Australia and he really wants to make an impact in this Australian Championship in 2017. Was forced to have a year off a couple of years ago, and if anything, that's made him more hungry. As we look at the back of Crew Halliday now, the man that we were just talking to, his crew chief, Glenn McMahon, on pit wall. He's also putting in a great ride in this race as well, as we continue to focus on this battle between Herfoss, Bugden and Josh Waters.
I'll tell you what, when I look at Bugden, he's so smooth. Look how smooth he is through there. It almost looks like he's just taking a Sunday walk. Whoa, there's a hair and a half. That's unbelievable. He was a lucky little boy, wasn't he, Phil?
Well, I don't know how he's actually managed to get off the circuit there, as we see Kyle Buckley, the man that, well, he used to ride a super sport bike like a superbike. Look at that. That is a superbike rookie that is looking like he's pretty confident with the BC Performance Kawasaki, and a man whose riding style looks like he's going to adapt well to a superbike.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty scary move to pull off there, but Kyle Buckley, great job by him. And meanwhile, these 3 guys are having a big battle of their own, aren't they? There's Beaton, Blair and Matty Walters there, and they've been mixing it up for most of the race. Look at that around the outside by Blair. He's not scared, is he?
No, he's only had limited time on a superbike, has Michael Blair, but he still rides the bike very much like a 600 Supersport, carrying a lot of corner speed, and you can see there, round through turn 11, he was really keen to keep the momentum up on board his privateer Yamaha YZF R1.
Now, if I remember correctly, at the pre-season test, Blair got the fastest lap, didn't he? So he's not scared at going fast around here.
No, he is, and he probably didn't have the best performance in qualifying, as we see a replay of that. Bo Beaton just throwing out the massive boot to try and slow himself down into turn 10. Certainly very spectacular to watch, and most importantly for that team, the leading Ducati on track at the moment.
Absolutely, and if you've got anchors like that, you may as well use them.
Well, Matty Walters had the track position there, and Michael Blair had to play second fiddle, even though he had great run out of turn 12. Good to see that replay there of just how close these guys are out there on track as we go back to live action now. And it is Herfoss and Robbie Bugden. Bugden up the inside into the hayshed. Oh, that's a big move.
That was a fabulous move by Robbie Bugden. I reckon if you told Troy Herfoss he'd be battling with Robbie Bugden this weekend, I don't think he'd believe you. But the BC Performance Kawasaki Racing Team have really come to play.
Well, it's almost like they should have painted that bike in matte black, because it's going a bit under the radar at the moment, but all of a sudden it's popped out, and Troy Herfoss has got his hands full with the Kawasaki, which I have to say, Steve, is looking very, very smooth and composed against a Honda, which we know has got a fantastic chassis. Doesn't have the horsepower, but it's always good in the handling department.
Well, you know, I guess the thing is that for Troy Herfoss to be able to pump those laps out, and look at that, he's got to make it up in the corners, and that's what Herfoss is doing. The problem though, Phil, is when you're making all your time up in the corners, you're using that rear tyre. Look at Bugden, once again, gets on that gas through on the inside into Hayshed. Like you said, massive move through there, but he makes it stick.
Well, I bet you Kelvin Riley, the team manager for BC Performance, is hanging over pit wall, urging his rider on as we're on our last lap, and Daniel Falzon looks like he is heading for his second Superbike victory ever, and also the second this weekend. Good clean line up through the hay shed as he drives up towards the top of Lukey Heights. He's got Wayne Maxwell behind him, but I'm definitely thinking that Wayne Maxwell is not close enough behind to put on one of his famous moves as he comes across the top of Lukey Heights and down into turn 10.
Absolutely, Maxwell feasibly the fastest. Whoa, that was close.
Not sure whose bike that was lying on the exit of turn 10, but I reckon the field is going to be very lucky to try and find their way through. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see a red flag stoppage in this race go back one lap. But at the moment, it's still Falzon heading towards the start-finish line. Wayne Maxwell foot out. Red flag. Yes, a red flag has been declared. Falzon will take the victory. We'll go back to the last completed full lap for the field, which, Steve, would have been the 11th.
Yeah, absolutely. But either way, Falzon's won that race again. 2 out of 2 for him. What a brilliant race. And I reckon that's going to put Bugden on the podium.
It will, and just having a look, that was Ashley Manuel, a fellow South Australian of yours. There's his stricken Kawasaki ZX10 on the exit of turn 10.
Yeah.
So bad news there for one South Australian, great news for another. Daniel Falzon, race victory number 2 for the season and this weekend.
Do you know what? He's thinking right now, I can do this. Here's the replay of that incident. It's come round, flicked him over. He's been clipped. Let's hope that Ashley's okay. Looks like he's up.
He's up, but his bike just did a little bit of a pirouette there. But going back to the last completed lap, the 11th of the scheduled 12-lap journey, we see Daniel Falzon take the victory by 0.919 of a second over Wayne Maxwell. Robbie Bugden in third. Troy Herfoss takes out fourth position. Waters in fifth for his first finish of the weekend. Then it was Crew Halliday, Michael Blair, Matt Walters, Bo Beaton, and Mitch Levy rounding out the top 10.
Daniel, wow, what a weekend for you so far. Back-to-back wins. Congratulations.
Honestly, I never thought I'd hear the words back-to-back win this early in the season, let alone at all. So I'm absolutely stoked. I can't believe it. The bike's working perfectly. The teams have been faultless this weekend, and I can't thank them enough. I feel like that race was completely controlled by me, and punching out fast lap times every lap consistent got us to win that one.
Wayne, race 2 and position number 2. Such an improvement from yesterday. Well done.
Yeah, thank you very much. Look, we had a bit of drama just before I went out there, and I had to ride the spare bike, so it was a bit unknown at the start, and Daniel got a bit of a gap, but he rode an awesome race, and I don't think I had his sort of speed at the end that we needed, so we'll go back to the drawing board and work on that, and collecting a lot of valuable data, and it is only round 1 out of 7 rounds, so we just keep chipping away.
Robbie, well done. It's great to see Kawasaki on the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a pretty good lead into this, and I think we hadn't really shown our hand very much, with a few little niggles with the bike, but the Kawasaki ZX10 is a great motorcycle, and I think we proved that today. I sort of got caught up early in those laps, but once we got a bit of clear track, we put down some good laps, and then we got in quite a tussle with Troy and Josh, and we managed to get one over him, so I couldn't be happy. I couldn't be happier with the whole BC Performance Kawasaki team. They've been working so hard to get us here this weekend, and it's a great result, and hopefully the next one we can push a couple of steps up.
We talk about 8 manufacturers returning to the grid for the very first time in 2017, one of which is Team Suzuki Exeter, and coming with them is 2-time champion Josh Waters.
Yeah, it's great to be back in the ASBK Championship, and to be back with Suzuki, who I had a lot of success with, it's awesome. So the championship's not going to be easy this year with 8 different manufacturers, a lot of past and present champions, and younger riders moving up. So it's going to be bloody tough, but I've got a great team behind me, great manufacturer, and I'll try my hardest, and hopefully it's good enough. Suzuki have just launched a new motorcycle in the GSX-R 1000, and I'm lucky enough to be the first person in the world to race it. It's been a little bit of a rush because the bike is so new with parts and so on, and to already be up there with the established other manufacturers in our first hit out. My first ride was the first practice on Thursday, so to be up there at the pointy end is pretty cool of such a new bike, and it's only going to get better. My expectations are to finish each race and to be up. My aim is to win. I'm a racer, so that's my aim, but realistically I'd like to be in the top 5, but when I line up and that light goes out, I want to try my hardest, and hopefully that's good enough to be somewhere where I want to be. It's going to be good having the time between here and Wakefield. We'll be getting more parts throughout the world off our sponsors, and it's going to help out a lot for sure at Wakefield. The bike will be stronger, be better prepared, and I'm really looking forward to round 2.
Before any racing bike hits the track, it has to come through here, the scrutineering bay, a place where volunteers check the bike out to make sure it's safe to hit the track. They check to make sure that all of the nuts and bolts are lock wide so they don't come loose. They check things like there's no oil leaks, and they make sure that the brakes and all, in general, that the bike is maintained properly. After the race, however, they also have to come to the scrutineering bay where they meet this man, Pip Harrison. Now, apart from making sure the bike is safe, Pip, the other thing we do is we make sure that the bikes meet the technical regulations, and you've got some special tools to use to check these bikes. What are the sort of things that you look for when the bike comes into this garage?
That's correct, Steve. What we look for is make sure the motorcycle meets the minimum weight criteria. So we have a set of scales that we use to weigh the motorcycles. We also make sure that the engine is compliant as far as capacity. So we have special tools for measuring bore and stroke to ascertain that the motorcycle meets the requirement of that capacity that is required. And thirdly, there's noise testing. We noise test the motorcycles. Every track in Australia has noise limits applied to them, and the motorcycles must meet those noise limits.
That's fantastic, Pip. And as you can see, the scrutineering bay is a very important place because it keeps the bike safe and the racing fair.
Well, the riders are making their way to the grid now for the third and final Supersport race for the Motul Supersport category here this weekend. But before race 3 gets underway, 2 races have already taken place this weekend and they have been absolutely spectacular. We'll have a look at the highlights now as we watch these riders make their way around the majestic Phillip Island circuit, 4.45 kilometres of sinuous bitumen. And we've got a lot of riders, as we've seen in the Superbike category, making their way up from smaller classes, and also a couple of riders that have got a lot of Supersport experience. Mark Chiodo started from pole position in race number 1 with Mason Coote and Ted Collins also on that front row of the grid, and the whole field made their way down to turn 1 with our pole sitter getting a great start. But up the inside, Mason Coote had a bit of a look, wasn't able to do it, but fast around the outside was Luke Mitchell on board his Yamaha YRD supported machine. We spoke about veterans. There's one of the veterans in this class, Ryan Taylor, on board bike number 52. He's done more laps of the Phillip Island circuit than probably the rest of the field put together. But down into turn 4, our first incident. Sam Muldoon, unfortunately, on the ProWorks Kawasaki, took out Luke Mitchell, who once again was the victim of someone else's crash at turn 4, and that was the end of him. But there was drama up at turn 10 when our race leader and pole position man, Mark Chiodo, ran off the circuit on board his Triumph and was pushed a long way back in the field. Tom Taparis, a young man stepping up to the class, was racing with a man with plenty of Supersport experience, Ben Burke, on board bike number 60, taking a step back from the Superbike class last year, back to the place where he knows very well in the 600 Supersport class. But Jordan Carlson, in the lead of that group, was extremely lucky to stay on board the Graves Yamaha as he made his way through turns 10, 11 and 12. And unfortunately had a massive out-of-the-seat moment, but was able to regain his composure and get back on track. But Mason Coote went to his first victory in the championship, hasn't raced for 18 months on board the Yamaha YZF R6. Ted Collins on the Next Gen Motorsport machine took second, and coming through in third place was Ben Burke. A great return to the Supersport class with him, and a great debut for Tom Taparis on board bike number 7, the Cube Racing Kawasaki ZX6. But it was Mason Coote that went one up in season 2017. Race number 2 got underway with Mark Chiodo not getting the best of starts from pole position, but it was Ted Collins on board the Next Gen Motorsport Suzuki that took the lead down in towards turn 1. And the Suzuki once again showing that he's very good off the start, and Ted Collins, an extremely fast learner in only his second year of 600 Supersport racing. Jordan Carlson didn't let that first race incident put him off, and he was extremely quick off the line as well on board his machine as he battled to try and get up towards the lead group. But Mark Chiodo went from third position to first in one fell swoop at the entry to turn 10 and started to pull away from the rest of the field, where he'd eventually take a comprehensive victory over the rest of the field. The battle was on behind though, with the veteran Ben Burke always in the battle, and he was involved in a massive pack where we saw Giuseppe Scarcella making his Kawasaki debut hit this weekend, get it fractionally wrong and run off the track on the entry into turn 10 as well. But it was the 2 veterans, Ryan Taylor and Ben Burke, that would battle for the entire race distance, with Jordan Carlson and also Luke Mitchell right behind. It was a Yamaha 4-peat here of riders all trying to impress themselves on the second race of the season. Unfortunately, a red flag stoppage when Michael Knight crashed at the exit of turn 10 was an early finisher and half points awarded for Mark Chiodo, who took the race victory. As we get ready now for the third and final race of the weekend, down on the grid we have Steve Martin, who will be talking to some of our riders, and he's talking to our pole position man Mark Chiodo, who's trying to get his second win of the weekend, one with full points.
Marcus, race 1 not so good, race 2 brilliant. What about this? 3 races in one weekend. How are you feeling going into the last race? It's quite hot.
Yeah, going into the last race I'm feeling pretty good. After the second race, we had a good lead. Got cut short early, but I think we can carry that on into this race as long as we get a good start.
What about the temperature now? It's quite hot, probably the slipperiest it's been all weekend. Do you think someone's going to challenge it?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit slippery. I mean, it's the same for all of us. It just depends how much it affects either of us, I guess.
Best of luck.
Yeah, cheers.
Mason, you've had a pretty impressive weekend, and I know last race you were out to win this one.
Yeah, it's always the plan to go out as fast as we can. Hopefully we can close the gap to Mark. We've made a few changes. But from here, it's full gas till the checkered flag and see what happens. So,
good luck.
Thank you.
Ted Collins, you're having an absolutely cracker of a weekend. It's been a long time since we've had 3 races. How are you feeling going into this one?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. The weekend's been great so far. Podiums in both races and on the front row. So really looking forward to getting out there in this last one and giving it my best shot.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Luke, last race, obviously you're out to win it.
Yeah, we've had not the greatest weekends this weekend, just struggling a lot with pace, so we've bolted something in and just going to go out and give it a try and do the best I can to try and salvage something.
Best of luck, Luke. Well, it's up to you guys in the booth.
Yeah, thanks very much, Emma. As we look down on the grid now, a massive grid of 600 Supersport riders. Steve Martin joins me back in the commentary box. Steve, the tension down there on the grid, third and final race of the weekend.
There's a lot of tension, and you know what? It's the hottest it's been all weekend. I really do believe this might just mix things up, and Marcus Chiodo might not have it his own way.
Well, we've seen all weekend so far, the races and sessions held earlier in the day have certainly been the faster sessions. As we said, Mark Chiodo will start from pole position, joined on the front row of the grid by Mason Coote and also Ted Collins, that have been our top 3 in all of the races so far. They'll start from the front row of the grid. Back on the second row, we have Luke Mitchell, who we heard from on board bike number 96, the DPH Motorsports machine. Sam Condon, who's our best rookie this weekend. And Nick Leamington rounds out the second row of the grid on bike number 27. They're away in this third and final Motul Supersport race for the weekend. And it looked like everyone got a good start from the front row of the grid, especially, once again, Ted Collins on the Next Gen Motorsports Suzuki.
He's absolutely on fire into turn 1, Ted Collins. I think that might be nearly 3 out of 3 for him, and he's on the boil on the first laps of these races. A podium last time out. I'm sure he wants to get a win if he can this time. He's in the perfect spot to do that.
Well, as they head through turn 2 for the first time, sitting back there in about the 5th position is the one man that I am so impressed with this weekend. On board bike number 64, stepping up to the Supersport class for the first time this weekend, Sam Condon doing a great job, and we saw a picture of him quickly there on the grid with his mentor Damien Cudlin as Mason Coote puts his Yamaha into the lead with a big move down into turn 4. First lap cold tyres. Well, Mason Coote is desperate to try and get as much of a lead as he possibly can.
He might not have ridden for 18 months, like you said, but he's on fire right here, right now. That was a big move into Honda Corner on the first lap of the last race of today.
Well, he certainly has got plenty of stored up materials there to burn this weekend. He's been doing a great job. As we jump on board with Ryan Taylor, Ryan Taylor has got his own groove around this circuit. He's done more laps around Phillip Island than probably the rest of the field put together as they come up across the top of Lukey Heights this weekend. He hasn't had it all his own way. He's had to fight his way through the field. Look at that battle going on there. He's got Ben Burke and Sam Condon just ahead of him. Luke Mitchell, once again, it's a Yamaha fest. Yamaha, Steve, have actually dominated this class for many, many years. It's only in recent history that we've seen other marques get back into the fold.
Absolutely, and it's good to see too, the venerable GSX-R 600 and what about the Triumph 675, all having a shot at the front in this class now, which is good. We don't want to see one manufacturer win. That's what this class is all about. Bring them all on.
That's it, and of course the Suzuki GSX-R and the Triumph Daytona have also both won championships in recent memory, with Mitch Carr, Troy Herfoss taking out Australian Supersport Championships, but at the moment it is still Mason Coote. Mark Chiodo, who, as we said, was a second and a half faster in practice and qualifying than the rest of the field, shows you what a great job the rest of the field has done to try and peg back our early leader this weekend as we jump on board with Ryan Taylor, who is almost glued to the back of Luke Mitchell's DPH Motorsport machine. Of course, Luke Mitchell has got Marty Dowd as his crew chief once again this year, a man that has much Supersport experience. Oh, Jordan Carlson, looser than you like into turn 4. He was lucky to keep that bike upright.
Jordan Carlson is having some sort of weekend, isn't he? We saw him in the pre-race in race 1. He had a massive moment, and once again there, he's riding that Yamaha R6 to the limit this weekend.
Well, possibly even overstepping the limit every now and then is Jordan Carlson, but he's keeping the bike upright and doing a great job in his debut in this class here this weekend. And he's in a very hectic battle there with Ryan Taylor, Luke Mitchell, Jordan Carlson right behind him there as they head up across the top of Lukey Heights and down into a turn 10 in this Motul Supersport class that has provided some fantastic racing this weekend. Speaking of Motul, the man that we're looking at there, sponsored by Motul and Pirelli, Mason Coote. What is it about turn 10 this weekend? Turn 10 and turn 11.
It's pretty slippery. Remember how hot it is in the other end. Look at the mid-corner speed, though. He's got a Marcus Chiodo. He's got a great drive onto the start-finish straight. Now, there you go. Triumph Power versus Yamaha R6.
Well, it's a drag race. They are level pegging down the front straight. There is not much between them. It's who's going to have the bigger set of rotors into turn 10 or who's not going to use the rotors at all. Probably into turn 1 is more appropriate. As Marcus Chiodo, that style of Mark Chiodo, I could look at it all day. He is so spectacular, isn't he, Steve?
He really is spectacular. And when you think that maybe 3 years ago he'd never really ridden a motorcycle at all, he's come an awful long way in a short period of time.
I think it's in the genes because his dad was very fast on a 250 production bike round here back in the halcyon days of the 250 production championship.
Hey, you know what? Have a look at Ted Collins. I think he wants a bit of this action up the front too. He's catching up to the two boys in front of him at the moment. Mason Coote putting the pressure on Marcus Chiodo, and I reckon Ted Collins wants a bit of the action as well.
Well, Ted Collins is certainly trying to get back into this race. He's been on the podium in all 3 races so far this weekend. In this field is a very, very good effort. And look at the start here.
Yeah, once again, another brilliant start by Ted Collins. Whole shots that one. Wheel in the air for Mason Coote. That's not the best way to shoot forward. But nevertheless, we're on board also now with Giuseppe Scarcella. What a start he had to contend with. I don't know what to make of that. What do you think, Phil?
There was more traffic for Giuseppe there down in towards turn 1 than I think he knew what to do with. And, well, it looked like everyone made their way through there pretty safely. But at the moment, we can see Mason Coote having that massive moment on the way out of turn 11. That was almost, as we've seen plenty of times this weekend, the end of his race at the top end of the circuit.
Yeah, absolutely, but he pulled it all together and got into this drag race with Marcus Chiodo down the straight. Who would it be into turn 1? And of course, Marcus, plenty of laps around here, got it just right.
And also, it looks like Mark's corner speed or corner entry speed into turn 1 has been absolutely sensational this weekend. We've also got at the front of this race as we start lap 4 of the 10-lap journey, Steve, a battle. Mark Chiodo on Dunlops, Mason Coote on Pirellis, Triumph versus Yamaha. Once again, as we've seen in the Superbike class, great to see a bit of variety at the front.
Absolutely, and you were talking about the corner entry speed of Marcus Chiodo. He got it all wrong into Honda corner, and that's given Coote in front on the number 53 Yamaha R6. A little bit of a gap at the moment, but there's still a long way to go in this one.
They have both taken a race victory this weekend, but also because race 2 was that red flag stoppage and only 3 of the 10-lap journey completed as Mark Chiodo, as you said, getting it all wrong into turn 4. That was where Mason Coote got back into the lead. But yeah, Mason Coote leads the championship courtesy of 1 full points victory as opposed to the half points victory of Mark Chiodo.
Yeah, well, Mark Chiodo is going to want to get it right this time round and try and get victory if he can. But you know what? Mason Coote, remember, I've already mentioned it, but 18 months off the bike, he's getting better and better and faster with every lap. He's getting back in the groove. It's becoming harder to track that man down.
Well, some people might actually understand, Steve, how hard it is to get back on the bike. It's easy to get on and ride the bike and go relatively fast, but find that last half a second, get your depth perception and everything is incredibly hard after a bit of a layoff.
You said it exactly right there, and the word is perception. It's the perception of speed that is the big problem and the problem that you have to come back.
Well, the Supersport action is just heating up. Join us on the other side of this break for the second half of this exciting race. Welcome back to the exciting conclusion of this Motul Supersport race. Our race leader is still Mason Coote, but at the moment we are focusing on this battle between Sam Condon, Ryan Taylor on board bike number 52, and also Ben Burke, the veteran from Western New South Wales, also involved in this battle as well. But Sam Condon this weekend making his debut in the class has been very impressive, along with the rider on board bike number 7, also making his debut, young Tom Taparis from Goulburn.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic to see these young guys step up this year on the 600. Oh, that's Nick Limington down. What a big accident in the Southern Loop there. Who's he taken with him?
Tom Taparis has gone up the inside and he's nerfed Tom Taparis off the track as well. Poor old Tom didn't know what had happened there, and unfortunately not a good way for him to end the weekend. But until that moment, Steve, it had been an impressive debut from the youngster from Goulburn.
We were just about to mention Tom Taparis and how well he was going. Unfortunately, it's all over, but he can be proud of what he's achieved this weekend.
Here's a replay of this incident. You can see Tom Taparis runs a fraction wide. Limington sees a gap.
Yeah, and looks like Nick just pushed the front end there, and the front started bouncing. Look at the bouncing on the front of Nick's bike, and he collects Taparis, and Taparis isn't in control of that. Both of those boys down. They'll be up and they'll live to fight another day. Good to see.
Well, Nick Limington's bike suffered a little bit of damage there, but you can also see that the rest of the two riders in that group went right. That's two more riders I don't have to worry about, as Mason Coote makes an attempt to try and get past Mo Chiodo on the run out of turn 2. And as we look back at live action, it is Ted Collins once again putting on a sensational job here as he tries to track down our race leaders. But into turn 1, once again, Mark Chiodo, he just does not use the brakes in there and just flows in there so smooth and so fast.
You know, that's the other thing we've got to talk about is the different strengths between these two bikes. So the Triumph's a lot torquier, it's narrower, it's got a 3-cylinder 675 engine compared to the Yamaha's R6. The R6 has been around for a while now, 4-cylinder 600. You can see there perhaps a little bit of extra top speed, but it doesn't drive out of the corners perhaps as good as the 675 might.
And also, too, I think the Triumph's also got a much steeper head angle too, Steve. That would make it handle a lot different to the Yamaha. An advantage or a disadvantage around a fast-flowing track like Phillip Island.
You know what? You have to adapt your style to suit the bike and the track, and that's the thing with this production-based class. In superbikes, in world superbikes, you can adjust all that sort of stuff. But right here, right now, this is about teaching young guys how to adapt to motorcycles and their handling traits. One day the bike will be perfect for a big track like this, but you get to a tight track and you might have to work harder. And for sure, that man in front at the moment is working very hard to hold that position. Another guy's run off.
Actually, I think that's Tom Taparis has picked his bike up after the incident over there at turn 2, and unfortunately has had his second crash of the race. Looks like he got pushed out onto the grass, and on the grass coming into turn 4, only one thing was going to happen.
Yeah, definitely went on the grass nice and early there on the inside, and he's off again. He's learning quickly as Tom Taparis.
Well, back to our race lead. It is still the battle that has been going on all weekend. Mason Coote trying to find a way past Mark Chiodo. Don't think he's going to do it down into turn 1. That's been Mark Chiodo corner this weekend. Very fast and smooth through there, but Coote has been impressive on this section of the course from the run into turn 2 on the run round to turn 4.
Yeah, certainly does. You can see it there. Look at the little bit tighter line through the middle of Southern Loop there. Mason Coote carries, but then he gets really good drive out of here and through into Casey Corner. He usually closes the gap right up onto the back of the man in front on the Repsol sponsored machine. And on brakes this time, he's very strong.
Yeah, he's pulled right up onto the back of Mark Chiodo. Now we're getting down into the dying stages of this race. Only 2.5 laps of the 4.45 kilometre Phillip Island circuit to go. Chiodo leads by a very small margin over Mason Coote. Oh, Chiodo almost out of the seat there. Only his launderer will know how close he came there.
Well, yeah, you said a small margin, and that was a small margin. He saved that one by the skin of his teeth, did Marcus Chiodo. And I tell you now that Mason Coote will be seeing that and thinking, right, I've got this. Because as soon as you see a rider like in front do something like that, you know they're in trouble.
So reverse it around. Mark Chiodo's just had a big moment. He knows that Mason Coote is really close behind. How long does it take him to get his composure back and get back on track?
Well, it's very, very difficult. He's under a lot of pressure at the moment as Marcus Chiodo, because every time he's gone past that start-finish line, he's seen +0 on his lap board. He knows Mason Coote is there, and when he's having moments like that, he's thinking, uh-oh, what have I got to do?
Well, both of them had their heads right down behind the screens now as they blast on down the straight once again. There has been nothing between these two guys, and there is a replay. of Mark Chiodo doing an unbelievable job to try and keep that bike on track. That was so close to a massive high side.
Yeah, and not only that, it nearly took out Mason Coote as well. He was very close, wasn't he?
It's one of the dangers when you're following that close as well. Someone has a big moment, you could get caught up in it. But here's a battle of the Yamahas at the moment. Sam Condon on board bike number 64, Ben Burke on bike number 60, second place in that group. And third place in the group is Ryan Taylor on board the 52 machine. Ryan Taylor's done a lot of laps around here. In fact, he was only racing here a couple of weeks ago at the International Island Classic on board a classic bike, and now he's back on board his Yamaha R6. He's even been riding a Supersport 300 this weekend as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a busy man, and you said before he's worn a groove around the track here at Phillip Island. The only problem is that everybody else is using that same groove this weekend.
Well, at the moment, as we said, he hasn't had it all his own way, and I've got to say I'm so very impressed with young Sam Condon on board bike number 64 in his Supersport debut this weekend. But you can be nothing but impressed with the rate that these two riders are getting around the circuit at the moment and the closeness of the battle between them, Steve.
Yeah, he's right in the back now as Mason Coote. Marcus Chiodo still in control out front at the moment. By about now, he would have gotten that slide out of his head. It takes about a lap or so, but he's going to be a lot more careful on the throttle, and you can see it now. Look at Mason Coote. He's on board, on the gas. He got great drive out of there down the straight, and he takes the lead briefly, but it's the number 12 of Chiodo back in front.
Well, we start the final lap. Only one lap of the Phillip Island circuit to go to decide who will stand on the podium outright for the weekend, as well as the podium for this race. Ted Collins has dropped off a fraction in this race now, and I think is settled for third place. He's a few seconds behind our race lead, probably about 3 seconds behind at the moment.
Yeah, I think
through turn 2.
Yeah, if you've had a weekend like Ted Collins, take third and be happy. It'd be a brilliant weekend for him.
Well, around through Stoner Corner now, it is still Chiodo leading, but only just from Mason Coote. Mason Coote has got a couple of more overtaking opportunities. That's one of them down, but the next one, I'd say, Steve, is at the top of Lukey Heights as they come into turn 10.
Absolutely. Mason Coote will be lining him up right now, and what he will have been doing for the last couple of laps is just trying to find out where he is tougher, but not give away that he knows that he's stronger at that point. And I think you're right. I think it's going to be up over Lukey. Can't do much through here, but up into Lukey, perhaps an outbreak into MG is going to be where he's going to attack. He's lining him up now.
Across the top of Lukey Heights, trying to come around the outside and down into turn 10. Mason Coote, will he have a big lunge? No, Chiodo's got great track position. He's run a fraction wide. Mason Coote dives up the inside. Has he got enough as they come through turn 10 and 11? Yes, I think Mason Coote has just got enough. He should come onto the straight in the lead, but the slipstream, Steve, is that going to come into consideration now?
It doesn't mean, because you're leading here, that you're going to win the race at Phillip Island. If Marcus gets a brilliant drive out of that last turn, he could win this race. This is going to be close.
Coote comes to the line. I think he might have just enough to get to the line. He starts celebrating a fraction early, Daniel Falzon style, and takes the victory by 0.147 of a second. Ryan Taylor has a big lunge in this battle. Where will he finish? He gets across the line. Ryan Taylor finishes in 6th position. But what a race between our top 2 and then this 3 for positions 4, 5 and 6. But our race victor, Mason Coote, 0.147 of a second. 2 race victories in a second place. Not only does he take victory in the last race, he also takes the round victory, Steve, an important way to start your season.
Yeah, Marcus just ran just that little bit too wide there. He was under the pressure. He knew that Mason Coote was going to attack, and that was enough to let Mason Coote through and take the victory.
At this point, I thought that Mark Chiodo had it. He was, a metre offline? That was all it took.
Well, he was just braking too late. He didn't want to get overtaken there, and that was it. Game over.
Mason Coote takes the victory from Mark Chiodo. Ted Collins, Ben Burke in 4th place. Sam Condon, a fine 5th on board the Bike Biz Motul Pirelli machine. And in 6th place was Ryan Taylor. Rounding out the top 10 was Jordan Carlson, Sam Muldoon, Luke Mitchell and Chris Quinn.
Mason, well done, winner of race number 3.
Yeah, unreal. That was an absolutely awesome race with Mark there. Both of us were absolutely on the limit. The times were down a little bit, but the track might have gone away. We were both making lots of mistakes and trying to capitalise on each other. That was the most fun I've had in a long time on a bike. To come out on top, I just can't believe it. 2 wins in 1 weekend. It's more than I could have ever imagined. To take the round win, it's just phenomenal.
Mark, well done. You must be pretty pleased with the overall result this weekend.
Yeah, I'm really pleased, but coming in we were fastest and we had, one objective to win all races and take as many points as we could. But yeah, we limited the damage when we had a crash, and in the last race I had a few moments and I was lucky to stay on and still get second. So yeah, I'm happy to take away that.
Ted, well done with their position. Got a podium finish for the last race.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I'm really happy with that. You know, the track had sort of gone away a bit and it was pretty greasy out there, so third position, I'm still really happy with that. I just stuck it out behind Mason and Mark. They were going at it out in front, so just sat behind them and brought it home and finished second for the round. So I'm really happy and really happy for the team. Next Year Motorsports and Traction Control Suspension have just worked their butts off all weekend and gave me the bike I needed, and so happy to be on the podium here at the first round.
Well, at the end of the first round of the 2017 Motul Supersport Championship, Mason Coote leads the title charge on 60 points ahead of Ted Collins on 47. Mark Kyoto, despite the first race off-track excursion, is third on 44.5. Ben Burke also on 41.5 points in the challenge as well. Ryan Taylor on 41, Sam Condon on 38.5 and Jordan Carlson on 35.5. As Mason Coote, our round victor, celebrates with a shoey. Well, the taste won't go out of his mouth from this weekend for a long time. And after 3 Supersport races, 2 Superbike races, the people at Motorcycling Australia will surely be happy with a great start to season 2017 in the YMF Loans Australian Superbike Championship.
So many major changes to ASBK, and one man that's been a part of all its success and the growth is CEO of Motorcycles Australia, Peter Doyle.
ASBK was going through a little bit of a downturn a number of years ago, so we had to bolster it with some additional resources, marketing area, race organisation, get a group of people together, all driving in one direction to drive it forward to where we are today. The manufacturers have got involved. They're all now supporting ASBK. We work with clubs and we work with our state bodies in each state. So essentially we've got everybody driving forward in one direction. For 2017, increased media, increased TV exposure, increased interest from the manufacturers and the broader industry. It's going to help us expand our series. A lot of people getting on board now and a lot of people wanting to be involved and associated with the series. And again, that makes it easy for us to drive the whole series forward.
Sponsorship and backing, as you know, is crucial with every major event, and YMF are yet again the naming rights partner for 2017.
YMF got on board with Motorcycling Australia and the ASBK 2 years ago, when ASBK I think was not as strong as it would like to be. And Motorcycling Australia told us of their plans. They were very substantial, very big plans. They wanted growth, and they wanted a partner that would be with them for the long term. From YMF's perspective, this is exactly the opportunity that we were looking for. Well, the growth from 2015 to 16 was enormous, but the growth from 2016 to 17 is going to be fantastic. The grid is 46 odd riders for a potential 40 or 42. All of the other series are going to be terrific, and we're really looking forward to the R3 Cup this year. We've got record numbers of people signing up for it, and we're introducing the R15s as well, which will be for the junior development. So we're hoping to bring that next generation through, and hopefully the next MotoGP or World Superbike champion can come out of this new grid.
New to the ASBK Championship for 2017 is Kawasaki BC Performance, and I had the pleasure of chatting to their team owner, Calvin Riley.
We have 2 teams in one here. We have our main Kawasaki BC Performance Superbike team with Rory Bugden and Carl Buckley on board. And then we have our junior team, which is Jimmy Broadbent on 600 and Yanni Shaw on a Ninja 300. We've had previous success before, and we're actually new to this series, so we're actually really excited to get involved, and especially with all the other manufacturers and the closeness to the riders and the competition. It's something that really pleased to be involved with. It's obviously going to be hard for us. We have some serious good riders in the championship. Now, obviously I come from the UK, and I've come from the British Superbike Championship, and even here in Australia the level of riding is really high. There's not as much support and not as much money here, but the level of riding is good. And the people that here, the teams and that are good, and we're up against some very experienced people. But I've got a really good faith in my team. I've got a good bunch of people behind me, a good bunch of riders, and I think we could actually surprise you people this year.
Well, the road racing career started 20 years ago, I guess. I think this might be about my 16th year in Superbike now, so I've had a great career. I've managed to race sort of all over Asia, all over Europe. Also here in the Pacific, I've won 5 New Zealand championships, so I've had a massive career, and it's something I'm very proud of. I think that the top 10, anyone on their day is going to be the person to beat. So it's hard to really single anyone out, but like you say, there's 8 manufacturers, so certain bikes might be stronger at certain tracks. But we've got a great team here at Kawasaki, and the ZX10's a great motorcycle, and it's proved that right around the world. So I think we're in a good position. I think I've got a great team behind me. I came into this team last year. We had some really good results, and now we're stepping up into the main game here at ASBK. And look, it's going to be a challenge. We've got a lot to learn. We've got plenty of work ahead of us. But like I say, we've got all the ingredients, and we've got a team here that believe in each other. And I think we're going to be a real threat. And that's obviously our number one goal, is to try and win this championship.
Well, after watching Robbie Bugden for many, many years, you can never discount the Queensland when it comes to challenging for the championship. We're getting ready now for race number 3, the third and final race in this first round for the YMI Superbike class. And down on the grid, the first opportunity this weekend to have a media grid is Emma with our pole man, Daniel Falzon. Down on the grid now, let's go to Emma.
Daniel, it's been a great weekend for you so far, and going to race 3 to obviously be feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like this has been our strongest weekend ever. I feel comfortable on the bike, and going into race 3, I don't see why we can't make it 3 from 3, but got to remember the championship is long, and I've got to be smart about how I race my races.
It's pretty hot out there. Do you think the conditions will play a part on the race?
Yeah, they may play a part in the tyre wear, but this is not going to be hot compared to when we go to Darwin.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Brian looked good in race 1, podium, first race back, absolutely fantastic stuff. Race 2, not so good. How's this one going to go for you?
Yeah, there's no reason why this one shouldn't go really well for us. We know we've got good pace here. I've done a lot of laps. I've got probably more experience than any other rider. So in this circumstance, there's no reason why I shouldn't shine.
Back on the Honda, are you gelling well with it?
Yeah, I love this bike. I love the bike. I love the team. The Crank Protein Honda team is, it's fantastic. It's like a home away from home at home, if that makes any sense.
Good race, buddy.
Wayne, last race, obviously everyone wants to make this one count.
Yeah, absolutely. It's especially important for us because we've had the unfortunate first race. So we'll just keep chipping away, and we just need to get a bit of start so we can preserve the tyre early on, and hopefully we've got enough at the end. You
had a great second race though, coming position number 2.
Yeah, look, I'm happy with position number 2. It's a good points haul, but we kind of need to make a few points back for yesterday's error. So we're going to give it all and see what we got.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And up to you guys in the box.
Well, thanks very much, Emma, as the horn goes to signal the start of race number 3 for the YMI Superbike Championship is not too far away. Steve, you're back up here in the commentary box. I asked you at the end of the media grid for the Super Sports, what was the tension like? I'm guessing Superbikes, it's at least 400cc more.
Absolutely. It's pretty serious out there because there's a lot of guys so far this weekend that haven't scored the points that they thought they might. So this is it. This is their last chance to make it up.
Well, as they have for every other race this weekend, Falzon will start from pole position, joined on the front row of the grid by Brian Starring and Wayne Maxwell. Troy Herfoss, the defending champion, will start out of position number 4 with Glenn Allerton and Robbie Bugden on the second row of the grid. Third row of the grid, Josh Waters, Bo Beaton, and our fantastic debutant, Mitch Levy, rounds out the first 3 rows. As we jump on board with Robbie Bugden on the BC Performance Kawasaki. He's got great starts so far. Lights are out and we're underway for the third and final race of round number 1. And it looked like Brian Starring got a pretty good start on the Honda, but Daniel Falzon once again will lead them into turn 1.
Yep, that's absolutely 3 times in a row. Starring back up from his off in race 1, but look how wide Herfoss went there, just lucky to stay on the track. And is that Josh Waters in 4th place on the new Suzuki? Great job by him.
He's done it. He's been fantastic off the starts all weekend, and Suzuki traditionally has had really good grunt off the line. Bo Beaton has got another cracking start as well on board that Racer's Edge Performance North Coast V-Twins Panigale, and it's great to see, as we've said all this weekend, the battle between Pirelli, Dunlop and now Bridgestone as they pile down into turn 4 for the first time. Robbie Bugden, as we've also seen this weekend, Steve, not one to be discounted. He is a man on a mission this weekend.
Full of confidence after a podium last time out, Phil. I think you want to keep your eye on Bugden this time because I think that's about the best start he's had so far.
Well, there you go. As Steve Martin says, keep your eye on bike number 24, the 5 times New Zealand Superbike champion. And just looking at that first lap, Wayne Maxwell and Glenn Allerton both got a little bit of work to do. They're probably a little bit further back in the field as they come up towards the top of Lukey Heights than they really would like.
Absolutely, you can see them back there in about 7th or 8th position. The last thing they want to see is that this field stretches away, and that's exactly what Daniel Falzon's doing at the moment. He's been so fast on these first laps. That's over a second gap already, and he hasn't even completed lap 1.
Well, as they come round through turn 12 for the first time, Falzon has got a very impressive lead. Oh, the back end is starting to step out there. He's really on the gas hard and early as we jump on board down the Gardner Straight with Robbie Bugden. Well, Kelvin Riley's Kawasaki BC Performance machine has certainly shown that it's not slow in a straight line, nor is the brand new Suzuki of Josh Waters.
Yeah, Bugden nearly got 3 and 1 then, but had to settle and sit in behind Josh Waters. But you know what? Josh Waters, he's no slug. He knows what he's doing. He's right up there in second spot at the moment, so great result by him.
Well, all of those front runners, except for the Crank Protein Hondas, around the 295 kilometres an hour as they made their way down the straight. The Hondas give away a little bit towards the end of the straight. Let's jump on board now with a replay of the start with Robbie Bugden. You can see he got a great launch from the line and outdragged the Yamaha, but the Honda, the great punch from the bottom end of that machine, got them into turn 1 in great position.
Yeah, Troy Herfoss is also one of the best starters out there. I mean, you watch this. Look at that. That's starring. The wheel went skywards for him. Never good when that happens 2 times. Compared to the Cat Yamaha up front, there is Allerton and Maxwell both making their way through, but with work to do for the 2 factory Yamaha guys at least.
Well, replay through turn 3 on the first lap, and it was Falzon leading, but look at that. All of the Superbikes in line astern.
Look at Bugden's fairing. The fairing on Bugden's bike's loose on the left-hand side. Let's hope that doesn't hamper him in the race.
Well, we'll keep our eye on that as we jump back into another replay of Robbie Bugden coming down the start-finish straight, getting the better of the 2 Crank Protein Hondas. And Josh Waters, I spoke to him before this weekend, Steve, and I said, have you had a chance to do much work on the bike? He said, we ran it up on the dyno to make sure that it was fueling okay. And I said, what did the dyno say? How much horsepower? Josh's coy answer, a couple of hundred.
Yeah, well, you've got to imagine it's got more than the old bike already, so, it's a very good machine.
Well, lap 3 we're on now as the riders make their way round through turn 3. Once again, we're on board with Robbie Bugden. As you see him change direction on the motorcycle there, alter his body position to get the run down into turn 4 because he knows he's got the 2 late-braking Hondas right behind him. But Bugden, once again, he's just smoothly moved his way up into 3rd position and well and truly inside of the race lead, right on the back of Josh Waters' Team Suzuki X-Star machine. And isn't it great to see the sponsor of the World MotoGP team that we see travelling all throughout the world is also the sponsor of the team here in Australia?
Yeah, X-Star, of course, Suzuki Genuine Oil, famous all over the world, and with results like this, you can see why, Phil.
Yeah, and also Josh Waters, as he tries to get up over the top of Lukey Heights, has also got Robbie Bugden to contend with, but also the 2 Crank Protein Hondas now are closing in, and look who's coming from behind as well. Wayne Maxwell closing in on board bike number 47. Very soon, we could have a 6-bike battle for our race lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Wayne is certainly making his way forward. He had a shocker of a start, but if there is a track that Wayne can win at, it's here. He used to be the Phillip Island king. He used to win every race that he started here. Not the case lately, but maybe today's the day.
Well, there you go. There's Robbie Bugden blasting on past Josh Waters. So it looks like the Kelvin Riley prepared machine, the BC Performance Kawasaki, might have a little bit of advantage there as he pulled out of the slipstream. Round through turn 2 we go. With red flag once again, a red flag. You'd see Troy Herfoss just lift his foot off the peg there, and I was wondering if he'd lost the front, but no, he saw the red flag and was indicating to the other riders that he slowed down. I'm not sure where the incident has happened. Oh, the entry to the top of Lukey Heights.
Oh, that's
Steve,
big.
That's going to be a fast corner.
Absolutely. Less than halfway through though, Phil, so we should see a restart, I would say.
Well, I'd say that most of the field probably might not have completed the 3rd lap because we were just starting the 4th lap with our leaders. We could very well go back to the last completed lap, which would be lap number 2. While the officials sort that out, we'll have a quick break and come back with the final instalment of Superbike Race 3. Welcome back to Phillip Island. The dramatic 3rd race of the first round of the 2017 YMF Loans Australian Superbike Championship has come to a dramatic halfway point because we've had a red flag stoppage 2 laps in to the 12-lap journey. The officials have advised that there will be an 8-lap stint to finish off this race with the race results on combined times. And Steve, we see the teams, not only the riders now, have to get ready for the final 8 laps as they all make their way out onto the grid.
We don't know how long it's going to be until this race resumes, so the boys will be putting their tyre warmers on and just waiting.
Well, let's take this opportunity to have a quick word now with the dual Australian Superbike champion, Josh Waters.
Josh, the bike only arrived back in Melbourne at 11 o'clock last night, but you're looking very comfortable in that race sitting at P2.
Yeah, it was good. I obviously got a good start, and yeah, it wasn't the feeling. We can still improve. So yeah, it's great. A bike so standard to be going so good is pretty cool.
You've done really well. Good luck with the restart.
Thanks heaps.
Wildman Waters. Well, Josh Waters is anything but wild until he pulls the helmet on, of course. Well, Glenn Allerton, 3 times Australian Superbike champion, trying to make it 4, the first man ever if he can do it in season 2017.
Glenn, you've got the spare bike after the incident from the last race. How are you feeling?
Yeah, look, I wasn't very comfortable, but I was getting comfortable, and they'd already developed a gap to the leaders, and I was in a bit of trouble then, so I'm glad that we got that stoppage. I hope whoever's crashed is okay, but for me, I kind of needed it because now I'm comfortable on the bike. I get another shot at it.
And you're always looking forward. You're always positive. That's what we love about you, Glenn. Well done.
Thanks.
Well, and as Emma told us, Glenn Allerton is on the second bike for this race, so a couple of little tweaks in that bike will certainly be on the pace. Well, Robbie Bugden, we've mentioned him several times this weekend. He's already been on the podium once, and as Steve Martin said, don't discount him for the overall result. He's with Emma.
Robbie, you just gotten into second. Obviously, a little unsettling having to do the restart.
Yeah, definitely. It was that was kind of the ideal start that I was chasing. I sort of wanted to get off the line here well and position myself in a good spot. And I'd just gotten into second place, and I was going to run down Falzon, but yeah, that's the way it goes. And I'm not sure what happened over the back there, but I hope everything's all right.
I'm sure you can do it again. Good luck.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, as you've seen, anything can happen here at Phillip Island. A nail-biting start to this race. It's back up to you boys for the restart of race number 3.
Well, thanks very much, Emma. Steve, of course, combined times over the race. How hard is that for the riders when they're trying to out there do the calculations? Because Daniel Falzon had a 0.8 second lead over the rest of the field.
What it means is if Daniel Falzon can actually finish second and win overall, because we don't really know where people are, because it all depends on the time from the first part of this race added together. So if Daniel Falzon is smart, he'll bring it home by just following whoever's in front of him.
Well, Glenn Allerton was, as we said, on the pace and starting to move forward, but he's got about 3 seconds he needs to make up on Daniel Falzon if he wants to take this victory. As we get ready for a start now, the red lights are on. We're away in this final race of the first round of 2017 as the field, massive field, blasts its way down towards turn 1. Robbie Bugden has got a cracking start, Steve, and he could very well lead them through turn 1 for the first time.
What a fantastic result for Robbie Bugden. And look at the man that's led every other lap into the first corner. Falzon, he's back in the pack. He's going to have to work for this one.
Yeah, he's back to about 5th position. I tell you who's going to be very happy about that. And that will be Wayne Maxwell and Glenn Allerton, who had a little bit of time to make up after that first stint. But Robbie Bugden and Troy Herfoss are battling it out for the lead now as they stream through turn 2 and down into turn 4. Hopefully everyone gets there okay. Bo beating that big foot out, pushing riders out of the way as he tries to make his way forward on the race's edge, Panigale.
Yeah, Herfoss exactly where he wants to be, up near the front. He's had a pretty good weekend as Troy Herfoss, but if he could win one here, that'd be a great help to his championship aspirations. Look at Beaton there, Bo Beaton on that racer's edge. Craig McMartin, 1199 Ducati, doing Ducati proud this weekend.
And also doing Bridgestone proud too, the leading Bridgestone runner at the moment, but it is still Bugden that leads the group as they come up towards the top of Lukey Heights. Troy Herfoss on the Team Crank Protein Honda in 2nd place, Josh Waters in 3rd, Brian Starring in 4th place on 67th. Then it's Falzon, the man with 2 race wins and a pole position already under his belt this weekend. Then it's Crew Halliday right behind Wayne Maxwell on board bike number 65. Of course, used to be in the Yamaha factory team, now a privateer. He would love nothing more than to beat all of the factory riders out there.
Well, he's got a big job ahead of him, and there's a lot of factory bikes he's got to beat too. Glenn Allerton, of course, on his spare bike out there, doing the best job he can. Look at the speed on Falzon's machine, will you?
Well, Daniel Falzon, as we said, had about 0.8 second lead over the rest of the field, and that gap as they came across the line wasn't quite 0.8 of a second, so Falzon will still lead this race on combined times, and he's actually moved his way forward into 4th position as well.
Yeah, it's a great move by him, and this is probably a race that he needs. He needs to be able to work his way through the pack. It's going to give him another type of confidence if he can win this one, because he's won from the front 2 times, but he hasn't actually won one of these Superbike races by going through the pack. And talking about going through the pack, look at that. Troy Herfoss, reigning Australian champion, takes the lead.
Yeah, he will look so smooth down into turn 4 then as he went up the inside of Robbie Bugden on the brakes, and there goes Josh Waters, forcing his way past. Oh, Josh Waters, that Suzuki looks a lot slimmer than what it used to, and he used it to his advantage then.
Australian champions are passing Bugden everywhere.
As they make their way through the hay shed, we go back to a replay of this start, and we will see Daniel Falzon get swamped for the first time this weekend. There goes one of the Crank Protein Hondas flying past. Josh Waters also got past him as well, and Robbie Bugden got the best of the start from the second row of the grid to lead them through turn 1 for the first time.
Yeah, I reckon you want to keep an eye on that BC Performance team. Oh, we've had an off.
That looks like the exit of turn 10, round turn 11 once again. Has claimed another victim this weekend.
Good thing is that accident's out of the way. The race will continue.
We don't want another red flag as this field makes its way down. Oh, look at the speed of Falzon's machine compared to the Honda. Once again, Steve, the second half of the straight is where the Honda just doesn't have the legs to continue the pace on, but it obviously has that chassis, as Troy Herfoss amply demonstrated there as he went up the inside of Robbie Bugden, and then again at turn 1 when he got the better of Falzon once again.
Yeah, have a look up the inside here, because there goes Josh Waters as well on the Suzuki. Suzuki, who would have thought, first time on the track anywhere in the world, second in the race on the road, at least at the moment.
And I think we've also mentioned this weekend, there's 2 versions of the brand new Suzuki GSX R1000, the standard model and the up-spec R model. Josh Waters and Team X-Star Suzuki, the bike prepared by Phil Tayton and Brodie Waters, Josh's brother this weekend, is actually the base model Suzuki with not as much electricity and also not the quite high-end suspension package. But Phil Tayton has obviously waved his wand over the bike, and it's going extremely well, and he's well and truly in the mix in this great battle at the moment. How many bikes are in this lead battle? That's about 7 or 8, and then add the 3 blokes in behind, we've probably got 10 or 11.
I think there's a few joining the fray too. All of the Yamahas, Crew Halliday included, the factory boys as well, are catching up to the back of this group now. Maxwell looks like he's on a mission. He needs to get some good points here. Glenn Allerton's coming to grips as well with that beautiful M model R1 Yamaha.
Well, as they make their way up through the hay shed and towards the top of Lukey Heights once again, Falzon right out on the ripple strips there. He was using all of the corner and then some, trying to find a way past the Team Crank Protein Honda that sits right in front of him at the moment as they come down in towards turn 10. It is Herfoss, the reigning champion, with the man that currently leads the championship. And Steve, just going on the results so far this weekend, Daniel Falzon pole position and 2 race wins. What was that? That seemed something come off Troy Herfoss's machine. He's looking down at the bike.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was, but it certainly upset him. He's lost a handful of places there. Can't see anything untoward. Hopefully he can keep on continuing. Maybe ran over something on the track.
Well, we've just started lap 6 of the 10-lap journey. Robbie Bugden is going extremely well at the front of this race. Emma's down with his team manager, Kelvin Riley.
Kelvin, Robbie started off very strong, and he's obviously still fighting to get back to that first position.
Yeah, it looks like he's riding an excellent race so far. We've got the bike working really well. The Dunlop have really been instrumental for us this weekend. We've got a great package underneath us, and it's going to be a close race, as you can see, but I think we've got a good chance to get down to the flag, that's for sure.
He's done very well this weekend, podium for the last race, and it looks like he could possibly have another podium finish this time around.
Fingers crossed, eh?
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Emma and Kelvin. He can go back to having kittens now, watching on pit wall as this field makes their way through Siberia and up towards Lukey Heights. As they make their way out onto the straight, here is a replay of this drafting move of Robbie Bugden as he went past Josh Waters. Well, the 2 bikes were having a drag race down the start-finish straight, and Bugden, yes, his bike looked faster, but he also, Steve, had the advantage of a slipstream.
Absolutely. That's the beautiful thing about racing at Phillip Island, Phil. It brings all the bikes closer together, even the Honda, which is why it can be leading the race right now.
Well, Herfoss is doing an absolutely fantastic job, and while we were going to that replay, I think Daniel Falzon may have just eked out a bike length or 2 distance, and there was that fairing that you pointed out earlier, Steve. Robbie Bugden's fairing just starting to blow out there as the bike approaches 300 kilometres an hour down Gardner Straight.
Well, by the look of that, he better leave it loose more often, because he's doing a pretty good job out the front there at the moment, sitting in second position with Brian Starring just behind him, and it looks like Wayne Maxwell working his way forward. Good to see Allerton and also Crew Halliday up there too.
Yeah, you mentioned Wayne Maxwell's on the charge. I think Allerton is also on the charge as well, and he seems to be a lot closer than he was on the last lap. He's managed to get ahead of Crew Halliday on board the YRD-supported machine, because as we mentioned, Crew Halliday, who you can see there on bike number 65, back with his usual crew that he won a few Australian championships with, Jeffro and Chaka. They're all a great crew, Crew's crew, the Blue Crew in fact, as they make their way out of Siberia and up towards the Hayshed.
Meanwhile, Daniel Falzon doing what he needs to do to win this race overall. If he wins this race, he will win overall. But he doesn't have to win the race to win, if that makes sense.
And he doesn't have to win the race on the road to win either, so it's going to be a big challenge for Daniel Falzon. As he said, he has to race smart. The championship is long. You're not going to win it at the first round. And for such a young man with, a lot of road racing experience, he certainly has a very experienced head on those shoulders.
It's good to see so many brands up there as well. We've got a Yamaha in first at the moment, Kawasaki second, Honda third. There's new Suzuki's up there. It's really amazing, the mixture of the new bikes, and all of the 8 manufacturers have had their time of glory out the front of this race.
And we've also seen Chaz Hearn inside the top 15 on board the MV Agusta as well. Wait until they get that bike developed a little bit later on in the season. I know Chaz has been working hard with the team this weekend as Robbie Bugden challenges, and Falzon, well, answers the question. Back into the race lead now as Wayne Maxwell starts to make his presence felt. Oh, Wayne Maxwell, Robbie Bugden, they've been teammates before and never closer than what they are on track now.
Look at that though, nice gentlemanly racing there by Wayne. Left room for Robbie on the outside there, didn't chop his nose off, which he could have done. So good ride by Wayne through the pack.
Oh, starring up the inside, just had his nose up the inside of Robbie Bugden's BC Performance entry. If anything, Steve, it's getting closer as this race goes on, with only 1.5 laps to go.
Well, it's serious time now. If you've got anything left in the tank, you've got to pull it out and give it everything you've got. And we can see, just with the attitude of the bikes now coming onto that main straight, these boys are getting serious.
Yeah, that was a replay of Robbie Bugden coming onto the straight, getting the better of Falzon in a straight line, but Falzon was very quickly back as they came around towards turn 2. Watch him dive around the outside here, back up the inside of Robbie Bugden. Well, he said he was going to play it smart. He just wants to lead every lap he can.
Yeah, I just think that he's growing in confidence all the time. And that was that move by Wayne Maxwell, nice and clean, up the inside, out of Southern Loop. Great manoeuvre there, but it is back out front. The Yamaha Cat man, Daniel Falzon, but look who's hit the lead. It's Wayne Maxwell.
Well, the speed of Maxwell out of turn 12 and down the straight, he didn't even use the slipstream to go blasting past Daniel Falzon. Falzon tries to do the same thing as he did to Robbie Bugden last time, but you've got to get up pretty early in the morning if you're going to outsmart the former Pharaoh of Phillip Island. Well, he could be the current Pharaoh of Phillip Island, Wayne Maxwell.
Yeah, well, Wayne's riding well at the moment. He just pulled out another half a bike length through Southern Loop there. He's got good mid-corner grip. And, a bit of a slide there. Looks like Robbie Bugden wants a bit of it too.
Well, Robbie Bugden almost looked like he was at the Troy Bayliss Classic then as he drifted the big BC Performance ZX10 through turn 3. Falzon tries to come back. Brian Starring is certainly in this mix as well. Herfoss, who, as we saw, had some problem before and has dropped way back out of this lead group. That's going to cost him massively points-wise for the championship.
Well, there's not much in this now. We've got half a track to go. Bugden's up there. Maxwell's there as well. There's a back marker coming into play. This could work out very interesting.
Across the top of Lukey Heights for the penultimate time, it is Maxwell leading around the outside. Oh, I think they all got fractionally held up there, but I think that's Tracy Davies, just got a short back and sides. Maxwell runs a fraction wide. Falzon comes back around the outside. A big moment, and Falzon's back into the lead. Maxwell, I think, got in there a little bit too deep and had to stop, change direction, and lost all momentum.
It almost looked like there was some sort of connection there between those two guys, which just goes to show you that they are playing for sheep stations out there.
Well, start at the final lap now as they come down to cross the start-finish line. There's only 4.45 kilometres to go. The man we need to keep our eye on, though, apart from our race leader, Robbie Bugden, now Wayne Maxwell, is Glenn Allerton on bike number 14. He's up into 4th place on the road and charging. Bugden's run wide in turn 1.
Yeah, he didn't have much choice there. Maxwell got up the inside, took a while to slow down and run him wide. Maxwell's got to win this by as much as he can. He's got to win it by over a second if he can. But Falzon right there on the back coming out of Southern Loop.
And Glenn Allerton right there as well. He's up into 3rd place on the road. Bugden comes back hard up the inside at turn 3. Couldn't quite get the job done. And Brian Starring is well and truly in this mix. I know we've said it plenty of times before, Steve, but have a look at the amount of national championships in this lead group of riders as they snake their way around towards the seaside of Phillip Island for the final time.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. stuff. We're on board with Glenn Allerton, looking back towards Falzon, and I take my hat off to Glenn Allerton. He crashed in turn 1 in race 2, and he's back. He's in second spot at the moment on the track. What a comeback.
And also, too, in the first race, that was where he was losing a lot of distance to Daniel Falzon. If anything, he's probably pulled out half a bike length on the run up towards the top of Lukey Heights. Can he get around the inside of his teammate, or down the inside of his teammate into turn 10? No, Falzon's back to third position, but he had 0.8 of a second lead over the rest of the field at the completion of the first leg. Is it enough to take out this race win?
Yeah, I don't know. 2 corners to go. Maxwell's given everything he's got. He's got that thing sliding sideways through the last corner. Oh, he had a bit of a moment there, did Maxwell. He's got a gap. Is it enough?
Well, if anything, that's going to cost him a few tenths of a second as they come to the line. Maxwell will take the win on the road. Allerton in second. Bugden and Daniel Falzon, there was nothing between it. But at the checkered flag, it is Daniel Falzon takes the win on combined times as Bo Beaton comes across the line. A great result for Bo Beaton once again on board that Races Edge Panigale. But Daniel Falzon, Steve, the last time a South Australian had a perfect round was when?
1999, my friend, that was me. So it's been a long time between drinks for the South Aussies, but we made up for it today.
Well, there you go. There's a replay of Robbie Bugden coming to the line. There was nothing between him and Daniel Falzon as they came across the line, but on combined times, it was the South Australian, Daniel Falzon, that took the race win, and Robbie Bugden there, that has cost Robbie Bugden. Big, massive moment into turn 1. He ran wide, lost a lot of momentum and had to try and get it back. Did well, but just not quite well enough to take the victory from the rider on bike number 25, Daniel Falzon.
What a weekend racing we've seen. I mean, look at the array of different brands of motorcycles and riders. And as you said, Phil, the championship winners out there was absolutely incredible to see. And that was a pretty exciting race to watch.
So Falzon over Robbie Bugden and Brian Starring on combined results is the result of the final race. Wayne Maxwell in 4th, Josh Waters 5th, Glenn Allerton in 6th place. Crew Halliday, Troy Herfoss, Mitch Levy and Michael Blair round out the top 10.
Daniel, well done. I bet you didn't think you'd be standing here with me at the end and having me tell you that you just won all 3 races for the weekend.
Oh, it's absolutely unreal. I mean, the first race I thought was just a bit of good luck on my side with some crashes, but far out, we've proven this weekend that we are one of the strongest teams, if not the strongest team in the paddock. Being a privateer team, I think that's something that's really special. Thank you to all my family and friends and supporters this weekend. It's been unreal and it's going to go down in history as probably my greatest career ever achievement.
Robbie, that was such an exciting race. You really were pushing hard all the way through.
Yeah, everyone was. It was it was a great battle, and there was a bunch of us. We all had our strengths and weaknesses, and look, it was just all out. It was great. The gloves were off. We were just dicing that one out, and it was great to be a part of. And a massive thank you to my Kawasaki BC Performance team. They put in a massive job all weekend, and we're showing we're competitive and we're here to win races, and that's our goal. So. I think the boys have done an amazing job, and we'll go one step better round 2.
Brian, you didn't get to finish race number 2, so what an improvement finishing on the podium for the last race.
Yeah, well, I guess I can thank my lucky stars for that because, if the last part of the race obviously was run as an individual race, I would have been 5th, I think. So I'll take a couple of extra points there. We missed out on a whole heap of points, so I crashed out of 2nd position in the second race today. So I'm happy to come away from this round with 2 podiums and so gutted for my mistake in the second race. So apologies to my team and to my supporters there.
Well, what a championship we're going to see in 2017. Daniel Falzon leads the championship with a perfect score, pole position and 3 race wins for 76 points from Robbie Bugden on 54 points and Troy Herfoss on 47. Crew Halliday on 44 is in 4th place. Wayne Maxwell is in 5th on 41. Mitch Levy, top debutant in position number 6 in the championship with 37 points. But it is Daniel Falzon. It's all about him this weekend. Robbie Bugden in 2nd and Troy Herfoss take the podium for the final time this weekend. And what a weekend it's been. We've seen all of our title runners have some sort of mishap over the weekend, but Daniel Falzon, the man from South Australia, comes out on top for his first ever race win. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Let's go down to Steve and Emma. Your thoughts on a fantastic weekend of racing?
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, it has been an absolute action-packed weekend here for the very first round of the 2017 Championship in Phillip Island.
It certainly has, but you know what? I can't wait till March 17-19 when we head to round 2 at Wakefield Park. That's going to be even better.
Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure working alongside you. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you at Wakefield Park.